Hello, welcome and welcome back. This is Jacob and today we are going to be beginning the narration and character voice acting for the side story So Long Adele, Home Away from Home. And I will apologize here at the beginning immediately if I get distracted during this intro. I'm not used to speak over a lobby theme with lyrics, so this is distracting me right now. But anyway, before we begin with anything, as always, the usual question here at the beginning: do you need to know anything before going into this side story? The easy question, or our easy answer to that, is not necessarily. If you just want to experience this side story and see for what it is, you can just go blindly, especially if you're new to Arknights and haven't had the opportunity yet to see anything before this. At least when it comes to older side stories. But there is an old side story that connects to this one, and that is the Heart of Surging Flame side story. So if you haven't had the opportunity yet or just want a refresher on that old side story, we just recently did here on the channel actually a narration and voice acting for that one, just a couple of months ago actually, and the full playlist you can find in the description of the video at the very top. So if you want to have a much easier understanding of the events that transpired in old Siesta and what led up to everything there and the move now here to new Siesta essentially, and how this came to be, that is all in that side story essentially. So all I can say is enjoy. It's a fun side story. Plus it's one of those side stories where they added extra cutscenes in at the rerun of it, so there's always something interesting to find in those old things. But yeah, this is, how to put this, this is a side story that is like 4 years in the making, and I'm not even joking. I looked up literally how long ago it was, or rather when Eyjafjalla was originally released, and that was, here on Global at least, in May of 2020. Of course, that is in year 1 of Arknights' release. So, boy oh boy, this has been almost 4 years at this point. But this side story will obviously heavily go over her background, and because of it, we're gonna be including, as always, or rather as is recent nature of the channel and side stories, we'll be including several things here in these episodes. For example, today's episode, as you might be already seeing down there in the pinned comment by me with different timestamps, we're gonna be ending today's episode with the full file and voice file for the original Eyjafjalla. And then in the final episode of this narration, we'll be going over the full voice file and file for the new Eyjafjalla and see the difference. And trust me, it is a very stark difference, especially considering the original file was written literally 4 years ago, or rather released 4 years ago. So yeah, that's quite a difference already. But we shall begin today's part with the introductory CG cutscene. Oh, before I begin with anything, I just want to mention, I noticed this when I was reading in preparation for the recording here. This menu changes depending on the day. This right now is the day theme and the day music. There's another theme, aka music, and the menu changes to night when it's technically nighttime. So I'm hoping that in the future parts I may capture the, or rather do one of these intros just as it is nighttime, because it's different, and it would be nice to record this as well for posterity's sake. Anyway, this is as much as we're going to cover today. Yes, that is as much as we're going to cover today, and yes, that is the length of the episode. And yes, it is a bit prolonged by the ending being also the full file for Eya, but there is a lot of story here at the beginning. But yeah, anyway, before we begin, we shall start with the CG cutscene, proceed into our first part, and then proceed with the rest of the story. So, roll the video. And we start on SLST-1. Down by the station. New Siesta, new vacation. Nowadays, most independent city-states have been swallowed up by larger powers or are on the brink of extinction. But Siesta is a unique example, a relic of the past embedded in the long southern coastline. It serves as an excellent case study in modern city-states. From Terra, a Journey. Whoops, got it wrong again. Alright, this time from the top. 1, 2, 3. 5,761, 5,762. Also, didn't a few end up in Lithuanian? Well, whatever. Let them have their fun. It's about time those tall, ancient goatee-shaped buildings got shaken up a bit, along with those people whose expressions are as crusty as their music. Time is precious, or at least it is for them. If they can't concoct something new and exciting within the very limited time they have, then we're going to be stuck here enduring years of stagnation and emptiness, damn it! Times like these make me miss the days when I was getting chased around by those long-haired, sharp-fanged folk, but now they seem to have invented a new game to play in Siracusa. They don't feel like playing with me anymore. I should also find something fun to do. The world is always full of twists and turns, and to exist means to change. Yet why do so many people find themselves in trouble because of these all too commonplace occurrences? Just like building a house. It'll always go higher today than it was yesterday. Yet despite that, there are always people who want to go backwards and tear down the old parts. Seriously, spare me already. If only these fragile and brief lives could last a bit longer, they could have the same wealth of wisdom as I. They would understand existence, or at least the purpose of existing. I suppose only a few might be able to comprehend this truth, just like that song. How did it go again? The tune went something like... La la la... Damn, I forgot again. Hello? You again? I've seen your face more than once recently. The volcano's about to blow, so turn yourself around and don't go any farther. How many times do I have to tell you? There's nothing good about those black rocks over there, so why... Forget it. Why can't they hear me until I get right up in their face? Isn't it a pain? Well, best not to get too caught up in their lives anyway. Hope luck's on his side. No? Where was I with my counting? Set out at 17 in search for a home, still wandering today. Show the foul beast away, ask the adventurer for aid. Trade treasure with a caravan, only to be left behind halfway. I'll remember everyone I met, and give him a special name. So no need to send me letters, no need for that I say. Unless you find yourself like me, on some desolate road astray. Not bad. That was a pretty popular tune 20 years ago. Thanks for the compliment. I hope this old-fashioned song didn't hurt your business. That joke's not one bit funny. Take a look around us. Not a single tourist to be seen. The volcano drove away the siestans, and the sun drove away the noisy tourists. All that's left is a leisurely summer I haven't experienced in years, and a carefree happiness that's about to go bottoms up. I assume you miss when Siesta was packed with tourists just a few years ago? Who gets hung up on cash? What I miss is when people still had an artistic appreciation for rock and roll. What people had back then was time and money, so they could sit down and talk about music and art in the abstract, their heads full of imagination for a fanciful future.
It's just like they say, if you want to do art, you gotta fill your stomach first.
The golden age of rock and roll is past. Too many youngsters these days think the spirit of rock and roll is restless beats and electronic reverb. The louder the better. They forget the very beginning, when the longing for a kind of beauty that existed only in fantasy was part of the heart of rock and roll. Just like what you were playing before. I really dig those clean, elegant chords.
It sounds like you know a lot about music. Do you play any instruments?
Bass and accordion.
Very trendy.
Play me another song, young lady. That last ring of yours is on me.
Thanks for the generosity. Now I hope you don't mind if I charge a little extra for this next song. How does a story sound?
The old way of driving a bargain, huh? Young lady, where do you come from, and what should I call you?
Bird, from Colombia.
A Colombian, huh? I thought every Colombian was like a sand beast digging around in the wasteland, pouring all this time and effort into that place, just like my parents were.
I'm also a pioneer, just a pioneer of the spirit. I want to see for myself what the Colombians of old saw when they came to this coast, and why they decided to settle here.
Then you're probably too late. That part of the coast has been abandoned at the foot of the volcano. What difference is there between this city built on a nomadic plate and a place like Colombia or Victoria? What can we do about it? What the land gives, the land can also take away.
Which is why I'd love to hear the stories here and get a glimpse into the past.
Alright, then let me tell you the story of how these stubborn people tried to move their volcanic hot springs and seaside fashion street to their new home, even after leaving the coastline.
How did all the stuff I set up just fall over again?
Not sure if it's heat stroke or what, but the last couple days I've been seeing some strange shadows circling around my eyes. Hey, young man, put all that work aside and come for a drink. Don't you hear the sun telling us it's a great day to kick back and relax? Oh, wait a sec, I think I recognize you. You're the young boss of the newly opened trading company, aren't you? I bet you're planning to demolish this street, huh?
Sir, this is just urban planning. We'll work hard to get everyone's consent, and we'll try our best to minimize the impact on your lives. I'm sure we can smooth over any conflicts that might arise.
What is there to smooth over? If Herman wants to start a new business, he'll have to take apart our homes. If I was a few decades younger, I'd think about throwing a brick through his window. But the years really take a toll on you, and I don't have the energy anymore. So, whatever. Do what you must.
Excuse me, Commissioner Swire? Snowsen, you don't need to call me out here. Besides, my appointment as commissioner hasn't been announced yet. Why does it feel like the people around me are more anxious about it than I am? Sorry, I've never been on a vacation like this before. Can I really buy so many things at a discount with this coupon? I was just picking up a year's supply of laundry detergent at the supermarket downstairs when I do this. How is it possible? There's no such thing as a free lunch, right? Oh, wait. I heard there were some scams out there disguised as coupons like these. It's probably Siesta's new marketing strategy, no? After leaving behind the old natural environment, the place needs some new ways of attracting tourists. MountainDash Logistics has formed a public-private partnership with Siesta, and they're also the ones who issue the coupons you've got there. Oh, and the company belongs to that bison guy. I think you already know him. If you find any false or misleading info on the coupons, the LGD will be knocking on his door. Right now, the two of us are elegant foreign tourists who just got back from a luxury mall shopping spree and are sorting through their spoils. Snowsand, can you hand me the perfume I just bought and also a smaller screwdriver? Yes, ma'am. Right away. What are you doing, Miss Swire? Please keep your eyes on the road when you're driving. A citrus tone perfume should perfectly complement the sunset here. Say, the perfume you were staring at before is in the pink bag right there. Why don't you open it up and give it a smell? I think the floral tones will suit you perfectly. What? No way, that's too expensive. How could I ever... Don't stand on ceremony. It's not easy to find a good traveling companion, and there might be some things I need your help with later on. Mind passing me the trumpet screwdriver again? Huh. You sure did a good job keeping it hidden. What's that? A tracker with wiretapping capabilities. A previous generation product that the LGD phased out. Didn't we come here to go on vacation? Why? What are we going to do now? Don't you worry. This kind of stuff is easier than finding magic eyeshadow for me. So, what do you think, Snowsand? Do you like the perfume? Yes, it smells great. Then, we're all set.
Swire turns around, picks up her terminal, and enters a string of codes. The tracker that has just been disassembled starts flashing in vain in the palm of its intended target. After 3 busy signals, the person on the other side takes the call.
Hello? Yeah, I've already arrived in Siesta. Found some trash in the car though. Looks like they're really taking us seriously. No need to worry yourself over this. If anything, why don't you check if there aren't any surprises on your end? By the way, since we're drawing this much attention as it is, you might need to meet up in advance. Whew, looks like I'm getting pretty good at picking out gifts. I'm sure they really enjoyed this one too. Huh? Snowsand, we're getting out of the car. If someone sends us a gift, of course we have to return the favor. See that truck stopped at the red light? Soon the tracker's going to be following it all around Siesta. We still have a good chunk of morning to enjoy the sunshine in Siesta before they realize something's wrong. Huh? How can you be so calm even though we're being tailed? Do we need to completely change our appearance? Get a head-to-toe makeover? Stick to large crowds? I don't think we should let any of these minor inconveniences get in the way of our vacation. After all, it's not every day we come to Siesta, and enjoying our trip takes top priority. Actually, when I was studying in Colombia, I always wanted to see Siesta but never had the time or money. I heard that when Siesta relocated they used a special method to bring the volcano along with them, but that sounds kind of crazy. Is the engineering technology here so advanced that they can build their own artificial mini volcanoes? I assume bringing a volcano with them is just a poetic expression. See? Look over there!
In the midst of the low-rise buildings, taller buildings of various heights vaguely form the shape of a volcano. People driving along the roads somewhat resemble climbers at the foot of the mountain gazing up at the summit.
There really is a volcano in the middle of the city. Skyscrapers stand high in the stem from hot springs all over the city. It feels like just like a real volcano. It goes without saying that you can't just pick up a volcano. But when new Siesta was being built, the buildings in the city center were designed to resemble a volcano. You can say it's a way of paying homage to the past. No matter where you go, people always get hung up on this kind of stuff. The city's past carries on its new home in another form. Let me see. The place where I'm supposed to meet that city hall guy should be right over here. Give me a minute. Will someone be coming to pick us up? We're not going to have to walk there ourselves. I even bought 2 extra buns and ate them this morning to make sure I would have the energy. Finally managed to finish unloading that delivery. I might be able to make it in time for my afternoon shift at the post office. After that, I should still have time to pick up the 2 passengers in front of the city. Then I need to remember to fix up the lights in Rachel's grocery store tonight. Hopefully that'll be enough to pay off my bills in cash this time. I don't have much time left. Need to hurry up. Well, you sure seem to be in a hurry. Miss Swire, what are you looking at?
Oh, sorry, I wasn't watching where I was going. You're not hurt, are you?
Ow. I think I'm fine. Oh, right, that's the guy.
Huh?
That's our driver from City Hall.
I beg your pardon? If you're just joking around, please don't. I have a ton of work to do and don't have time for that.
Not a word.
Swire hands over a wad of cash. Yes, I am.
See? I told you someone will be coming to get us. I think this is a delivery truck for transporting goods. When I was in Nusseles last time, I was riding around in a heavy boat on land. Just go with the flow.
No, screw that. I need to get to my next job, so please. Swire hands over another wad of cash.
This is your deposit. I've booked your afternoon as well as your vehicle. Now, I'll have you take us around.
By all means, welcome aboard. After several failed attempts to ignite the truck, the man slaps its dashboard vigorously and fiddles with the blinking buttons.
Miss Swire, this vehicle seems to have been modified aftermarket and is well beyond its normal service life. I really don't know if we can trust this guy.
What are you talking about? I'm no worse at souping up cars than any repair shop, and I do it at a fraction of the cost. By the way, my name's Ennis.
Alright, Ennis. Now, it's time for you to prove your skills. Hurry up and start the truck.
The old pickup truck resembled an aged burn beast, its original color faded beyond recognition. After a few heavy gasps, its engine finally sputters to life, carrying the 3 young people into the distance. Hello. I'm here. No sign of her. The big investor from Lungman. Yes, I know. She's a very important guest. I'll keep waiting. I hate my job.
Adele, did you know that the delicate little lines on these rocks contains traces of the Earth's respiration across tens of thousands of years? The continent is not rigid or unchanging. She moves, thinks, and even has emotions at all times. Beneath her tough skin, she also has a burning hot heart. We barely know anything about ourselves, and even less about the very land that has nurtured us. But we do have ways of interpreting the language of the earth, to know our land, to communicate with her. As long as you listen carefully, she will reveal to you the wisdom hidden away from human eyes, as well as these secrets about ourselves. What do you think? Isn't that a magical, wonderful thing? Adele, don't you want to get to know her better?
A protective suit used for volcanic expeditions is quietly displayed in the exhibition hall, every crease clearly visible beneath the light. It is adorned by cracks and scorch marks, an observable testimony to its past. It appears rather old, its outline roughly tracing the figure of its owner. It is a figure very familiar to the girl. How many times had she rushed home to gently knock on the door, late in the night, without having time to change out of her soothy clothes?
Adele, I'm home.
I still remember that time when me, Katya, and Magna climbed the red volcano. It should have been safe, but a piece of the lava flowing across the ground suddenly splashed out, burning through Magna's sleeve and almost leaving a permanent scar on her arm. We were all terribly frightened. Katya was up in arms after that, committed to improving the quality of the volcano expedition team's protective gear. But Magna happily treated the whole thing as a story of her good luck and went around telling the others. She was always optimistic, stopping at nothing to achieve the goals that she set. She was so brave, it was almost scary. But she'd always make it happen, and it lulled us into thinking that luck would always be on her side. Up until that accident. Adele doesn't speak. She extends her hand carefully. The moment her fingertips make contact with the display case's glass, she quickly pulls her hand back, as if she had been burned. The clothes that were supposed to represent her memories are now hanging in the exhibition hall, a thick and heavy layer of transparent glass separating them from the hands that wish to touch them. Adele, long time no see.
Yes, it's been a while, Professor Keller. I never knew they left anything like this behind.
After the Mount Una accident, I found this suit in the warehouse of my research lab at William University in Lithuania. I was going to send it to you along with the rest of their belongings, but a bit of selfishness kicked in. I wanted to preserve something in their memory. I should have consulted you beforehand. If you don't want it here, you're more than welcome to take it with you.
You were my parents' best friend. You worked together for so many years. The suit is part of your shared memories. It makes sense to leave this here, as an exhibit.
Those who have left us aren't coming back. Preserving their memories so that others may learn of what they accomplished might be the last thing we can do for them. Adele looks over at the older scholar beside her, showing no emotion on her dainty features, as if the topic of their conversation was something far, far away from her. The life story of the suit's owner is written on a plaque in the corner of the exhibit glass. The solemn, cold words recount a tale all too familiar, and the numbers written front and center seem almost surreal. Katja Neumann, 1051 to 1095. Magna Neumann, 1053 to 1095. The light overhead blazes, making it somewhat hot, just like how the heat of lava passes through a protective insulation layer and transfers into the skin. The reflection of the glass pierces her eyes, and she feels a spell of dizziness.
Adele? I'm fine. I haven't heard from you since Mutyon Fati passed away. Are you no longer involved in volcano research?
And very quickly, even though it's obvious, she just said mother and father in German, but from a child to parent way. The actual way would be Mutter and Vater. Magna and Katja and I spent more than a decade on those volcanoes, but I'm not as strong as them. I have no choice but to stop. This museum is probably the last thing I can do in the name of volcanic research.
I think I remember you were Siestan.
Yeah, last year Herman invited me back to Siesta to build this museum. For us Siestans, the volcano was always more than just a disaster that forced us to leave our homes. It's also a memory of the past. The volcano and the city have always been closely connected. It is not just the objective environment that can bring people together, but memories as well.
That's from the preface of the university's general curriculum textbook, Geology and the History of City-States.
I see this as an opportunity. I hope this museum can become a place that not only carries the hopes of Siesta, but also showcases the accomplishments of many volcanologists. While I was researching Mount Siesta, I happened upon a recommendation report you wrote 2 years ago. Perhaps a stroke of fate. And now Mount Siesta is about to erupt, so I'd like to invite you to complete this observation with me, as well as finish setting up the museum. When the museum was first established, I collected a lot of information related to volcanic geology, and need someone to help me compile all of it into a book.
It would be my pleasure, Professor Keller.
Meanwhile,
as soon as you get away from the heart of the city, the whole place seems completely different. I see so many shops closing down left and right. Seems like business isn't too hot these days.
It didn't occur to any of us before we moved to the nomadic city. We thought the newly built hot springs and skyline swimming pools would attract lots of tourists. Last summer a whole bunch of people excitedly opened shops all over, but they closed down within months.
I knew it. An economy heavily dominated by tourism is highly susceptible to changes in the external environment. Miss Swire, is there something wrong with this meter? That number up there? What currency is that in? Colombian gold certificates? Or Victorian pounds? It's making my head spin. Young man, 10 gold certificates would cover the distance we just traveled back in Colombia by all reason. And the rates should be even lower here in Siesta. We've barely just left and it's already up to 12. An extra 5 now.
What?
I told you before that I'll compensate you, but if you try to pull a fast one on us, I swear I'll...
What are you doing with that lipstick? I'm not... What the hell is that? Okay, sorry. My bad. Alright, I tampered with the meter. It's supposed to charge an extra ½ cent per mile.
What? You scoundrel. Half a gold certificate could have bought me 2 bags of cookies in the store back there.
Come on now, you two. I skipped work to drive you ladies around. It's only fair you give me a little bonus, isn't it? Swire turns around and takes a look in the rear view mirror. A low-key black vehicle is following behind at a distance of roughly 3 or 4 cars' lengths.
How'd they catch up so quickly? Young man, I will pay you handsomely, but you've got to listen to me. Drive a bit faster, lose that car behind us. Head somewhere crowded. The busier, the better.
Who exactly are you two? I'm just trying to do a little side hustle here. I don't want any trouble.
Well, I have no idea what this is about either. We're just a couple of tourists visiting Siesta and haven't the foggiest why these shady people have been after us ever since we arrived. Maybe they're after our wallets. But we don't know our way around this place, and it's awfully frightening. Miss Swire, you were threatening these gentlemen with violence just a moment ago.
Siesta's tourism industry is already in shambles as it is. Why would anyone be doing stuff like this? Let me assure the two of you, at its heart, Siesta is still a tourist city with simple folk customs and beautiful scenery. Please don't go around spreading a negative impression of our city after you get home.
Naturally. That all depends on if we can get the kind-hearted people of Siesta to help us.
Alright, sure. If it's for a good and just cause, I'll do everything in my power to help. Don't you worry. Not even Colombian's greatest race car driver could catch me on these roads I use for deliveries every day. Buckle up, you two. I'm gonna step on the gas. Meanwhile, Mr. Mayor, the Colombian representative just sent another message and hopes to have another meeting with you in the near future. Declined for me. They said that Siesta is nominally a part of Colombia, and therefore Congress has a right to the city's latest developments. Tell them to can it. We had a clear agreement when Siesta relocated. Siesta would retain the status quo with Colombia. They have no right to intervene in our internal affairs, nor do I have to report a thing to them regarding Siesta's plans. Very well, I'll forward them. And yet, you have time for a coffee with me despite your busy schedule. I'm honored. I like to set aside some time for quiet contemplation, no matter how busy my schedule is. On the other hand, I think you wouldn't have much leisure time to spare, Ural. The executive manager of the collaborative between MountainDash Logistics and Siesta is my son. Nominally, even I have no right to interfere with his decisions. In other words, there is nothing for you to worry about. Just treat him as you would any other business partner. That goes without saying. As things are now, Herman, do you regret taking this path? Across Siesta's history, both Victoria and Colombia have been interested in annexing us. Had we chosen to fall into the hands of either side, we would have achieved far greater stability and prosperity than today. This would not be the same Siesta. You should be proud of what you've built, Mr. Mayor. Look, New Siesta is more than 100 miles from its previous location. If you stand here and look east, you can just barely make out the peak of that volcano. If there was a map that could encapsulate this entire land, a line covering the 100 miles wouldn't even be a finger's wide, if that. But it is nevertheless possible and promising for us to connect with the various countries and city-states scattered across the land. The future proposed by MountainDash Logistics makes me want to believe in that. However, we all know full well that this will be a long and difficult road, starting with this present hardship that Siesta must overcome. In previous summers, Siesta's streets were crowded with tourists from all over the land, and the sound of concerts could be heard from every corner. Mr. Ural, do you know the original meaning of the name Siesta? It's Iberian for afternoon nap. At the time, the Colombians wanted to develop in tandem with Iberia, though the process was not to their satisfaction. They still ended up settling here. That's right, the pioneers arrived deep in the south and wanted to establish their first home here. Back then, the workers would get up before dawn to start working, and would take a long break around lunch when the sun was the strongest. Until evening arrived, when people would emerge from their rooms again, drinking coffee to the sea breeze and preparing for their nightlife. I trust that the city too is only taking a brief nap. When it next wakes up, it will surely usher in the most beautiful sunset.
Miss Swire, do we still need to take this detour? The number on the meter is already enough for me for a new truck. How have we not managed to shake them yet? Ennis, can you go any faster?
At this point, I guess I can't say no. Who could say no to a chance to race, to do something heroic and beat back the villains? Check this out!
Please slow down a little. What was that sound?
The vehicle that was tailing them before has disappeared. The delivery truck starts coughing up black smoke and skids to a halt along the side of the road. Ennis pumps the brakes hard as he clutches the steering wheel, wiping the sweat off his brow. Swire pulls snow sand through the car door and hops out, fearing that the vehicle might explode at any moment. Fortunately, the worst doesn't come to pass, and the truck finally falls silent after a few frightening whimpers. My baby. I spent 2 weeks pay fixing her up last month, and now she's broken down again.
Young man, how do you have the nerve to take this thing on the road when you can lose control just stepping on the gas?
Hey, you were the one who asked me to shake them. I would never drive that fast.
Mr. Ennis, your face is bleeding.
I must have hit my nose on the steering wheel just now. I do want to point out, just as a note here, that yes, his sprite is bleeding from the nose. Nice detail.
I'll go and find some tissue for you.
Both sides of the street are lined with Siesta's old-fashioned beachside shops. The over-the-top, extravagantly colored parasols and gravel-streaked surfboards seem like they were plucked right out of space and time from the beaches of the past, preserved as specimens, and dragged and dropped into a brand new nomadic city.
You said this was supposed to be the hottest spot in all of Siesta?
Did we get rid of those bad guys?
Shook him off a long time ago, my young hero of justice. Come on, let's find a place to sit and we'll talk about your truck. There should be a restaurant nearby, right? Huh. Why is there no storefront?
Long time no see, Miss Swire. I heard you'd arrived in Siesta, but the man in charge of your reception wasn't able to find you.
Huh. Did you really need to rush out here to meet me in person, Bison? Or is this your way of showing me your courtesy as landlord?
Let's skip the formalities, Swire. Would you give me a moment of your time? I'd like to speak with you. And we move on to the training stage, which we'll be obviously just covering as the title and description. Titled Ba Black. Strange creatures have appeared. Stand in the mist and take a look around. And we move on to our first actual stage, titled Do Your Ears Hang Low? Prick up your ears. Do you hear his question? 1, 2, 3. This summer, he will be waiting for your answer. Let's begin. On a radio, in response to increasing volcanic activities since 1097, Mayor Herman Doikos initiated the Siesta Free State Relocation Project. By early 1099, more than 90% of Siestans are expected to leave the volcanoes and beaches for a new life in a nomadic city. Switching now to a truck driver. Just to make it clear, girl, you only paid enough to get you to the next hub. You'll have to find your way from there.
I will.
You say that, but have you any idea how dangerous the barrens are? It's no place for a kid like you. Why are you going to Siesta anyway? Chasing your favorite band?
Work.
Going from Colombia to Siesta to look for work? You must have been living under a rock for the last 70 years. There was a time when people flocked there to make their fortune. They say you could bend down and pick up some obsidian anywhere on the volcano. But Colombia is where opportunities are these days.
I entered a construction company before I graduated. There was a serious accident just as my internship was about to end, and the company blamed it all on me. With that on my record, the only job I could find was some tiny demolition operation, where I got a rip-off from the way they misused the rhenium bombs. I wanted to stay in the city, but got scammed out of my last savings payings for medical insurance.
Well, that's tough luck. Back to the radio. Don't let the rip-off stop you from being a pillar of the nation. Join the Frontier Pioneers. The Pioneers provide an opportunity for every child of Colombia to have a better future.
I thought it was time for a change. My grandfather told me Siesta is a beautiful place.
I hope you find better luck there.
I think I will.
The radio switching to a song. I've lost my way. I've lost the path. Static overcomes the easy tune that was playing on the car radio. The truck slows to a halt on the barrens as though all life was sucked out of it. What the heck is going on?
One more dessert of the day, please.
Of course. Would you like to try a different flavor?
Prices here are nothing like Colombia. It's a tourist town, alright. All the food looks so nice. The cocktails, too.
All original. Can't get them anywhere else. Every cocktail has a story. Like this nutmeg beach. Hey. Are those two friends of yours?
Yeah, we're all from Lungmen, and we work for the same company. We get along really well.
But why do they look like they could break into a fist fight at any time?
Even good friends fight sometimes.
Didn't expect you to grace us with your presence personally, Commissioner Swire.
The LGD has annual leave. Got a problem with that?
I know why you're here. I have to say, I was surprised to see you and your family on the list of bidders for the new plate and shopping district rebuilding project.
Mr. Ennis, are you okay?
Just got a fright. I choked on something.
Well, MountainDash Logistics activities in Siesta are no news to me. You want to set up a logistics hub at this place because of its location. Where's Uriel?
I'm in charge of this project. Mountain Trade may be a subsidiary of MountainDash Logistics, but I'm not relying on MountainDash resources at all.
This boy born with a silver spoon in his mouth says he doesn't rely on his family's resources. Did you bike here?
This is no time or place for jokes, Miss Swire.
Very well. We'll talk business. This is a project with a lot of potential. A lot of eyes on it, including my own. It's fair game, as so long as MountainDash Logistics doesn't have a formal contract with Siesta.
Then may I ask your plans for the district?
Let's call those a business secret. Shopping center or ski resort, anything with some economic benefit has a reason to be part of the bidding. I think I saw some engineered lava hot springs on the way here. That seems pretty interesting. Maybe I should rebuild this whole area as a hot spring resort.
This is serious. Let's talk seriously. I know your family is a linchpin of the Lungmen economy, and you've contributed much to the city's development. But the project in this area of New Siesta isn't just a commercial venture. It has to take into account the city's long-term development and the livelihoods of the people here. I'll ask you to rethink if you're just in it for fun.
Mr. Bison, sir. If you're really confident in your proposal, then all you need to do is to outbid me fair and square. Why did you feel the need to come to me here? MountainDash's efforts at establishing a large-scale international trade network are innovative, but innovation entails risk. Why are your methods more correct than mine, when they both involve business and profit?
If you insist on continuing this pointless competition, I will play your game.
And I'm happy to play. We have some time until the official bidding starts. We'll each play our hands until then. What are you looking at, Snowsand? Miss Swire, something is not right with the route the gentleman took when he drove us here. There's no way this was 10 kilometers. There are greedy people everywhere. Where did you get this map? I said I wanted to borrow a map to look up some sightseeing routes, and Mr. Ennis gave this to me. He says it's a commemorative edition issued for Siesta's relocation. And so he charged me some more gold certificates.
The map is creased with a few barely legible routes on it, and childish scribblings for the sea and volcanoes.
This map's being handed out for free at the city entrance.
Snowsand has a look of surprise on her face.
I'll teach him a lesson next time I see him.
Please no bully, Snowsand. Dennis, you're in a good mood. Swindle another new visitor. Someone's gonna beat you up one of these days. I wasn't ripping off some poor schmo. These folks, my friend, were filthy rich. She was talking big business with that guy from the trade company, hoping to make good God knows how much money. Call it a little deductible on behalf of the citizens of Siesta. Let's go. Meanwhile, in a museum.
Is it this one?
No, look at the shape. It has 3 peaks. The one in the photo only has 2. Let's keep looking.
Volcano watchers? I've seen these plants in my mother's notes. There's a Siestan legend about flowers that change color based on volcanic activity. Katya and Magna came looking for it the first time they were here. There were reports of massive blooms on the slopes before every recorded volcanic activity on Mount Siesta. A beautiful warning of danger. Did the flowers go extinct? The flowers are just a legend. There is no proof that they ever existed, and this word-of-mouth stuff gives us little to work with. It would make sense for Reginium activity to affect nearby plants. Would finding this flower provide another way to prevent volcanic disasters? Perhaps, but I've never heard of it growing anywhere else. That's the way Siesta is. There are many legends here. Who knows how many were made up just to attract tourists? Pink clouds on a sunny day, white cliffs by the mouth of a volcano. Many people come seeking these legendary sites every year. I remember you met my parents in Siesta, Professor Keller? Yes, I did. They said they came to Siesta to survey the volcanoes and ran into a geology student writing her thesis in one of the cafes. So they brought her with them when they climbed the volcano. I didn't specialize in volcanoes at the time. It was my first time climbing that one. A beautiful sight. It delayed my thesis. Mutti and Fatih were always reminiscing about that time. I wanted to hear more stories about them. Can you tell me more?
The scholar gazes away toward the stack of documents in her hand. The air of recollection is quickly diluted by the labors of reality.
Now is not the time to chat. Let's focus on our work.
Professor Keller.
Is the city council meeting over?
There is increasing public opposition to moving away from the current beachfront. The city council is keen to have an accurate estimation of when the volcano will erupt, and wants us to provide a guarantee for the estimate that we gave. I rejected it on the spot as being impossible and irresponsible. We tried to give an estimate that is as accurate as possible, but scientific survey cannot be held responsible for the government's opinion polls.
Thank you for taking care of that, Dr. Khan.
No need to thank me. The Volcano Museum is your project, and I promise to help so you could focus on more important things. This is something that matters to all volcanologists, and I hope... Adele?
Khan?
What she probably meant to say here is... Khan! Excuse my Star Trek.
I forgot. Of course you knew each other.
Of course. Is she here at your behest?
The museum's collection includes Mr. and Mrs. Neumann's research, and the eruption of Mount Siesta is a rare opportunity. I wanted to respect Adele's wishes.
I just didn't think it was the kind of work that needed to recruit a sickly... someone who's not in the best of health.
I came to help out while on vacation. It's not really a bother. Khan has a point. Your health is important. You have to take it easy, Adele. Let's call it a day. May I ask you to bring Adele back to her accommodations, Dr. Khan?
Of course.
Have a cocktail on me. Reward for fetching a rare new customer.
You just wanted someone to test it for poison.
I call it Cotton Sunset. How is it?
It has a unique flavor.
You're one tough customer. So, was that girl a friend of yours?
She, forget it. I haven't gotten the nerve to befriend her.
Shame. Truck driver, messenger, ticket seller, swimming coach. How many jobs are you working?
It's the high season after all. You have to seize the opportunity.
What do you need money for? Got a girl you fancy? I could give you an advance on your wages if you're running short on pocket money.
I don't... Forget it. Seeing how business has been these few months, I should feel lucky that I even get my meals. You should be worrying about dorm fees for the little ones.
Huh. This is nothing compared to the stuff I've seen in the past.
Are you going to tell that story about how you led a protest against the local magnate in Casimir's through rock music, then went on to a career in Siesta's rock and roll scene, finally settling down here with this bar? Again? good memory, Anya. I'm too old for bedtime stories. Say, there's something I've been meaning to talk to you about. Business hasn't been great since last year. I heard things have been going well at the engineered lava hot springs. I'm getting funny ideas again, young man. Don't get ahead of yourself. I'm still the owner of this place on paper. You haven't taken over yet. This is the coolest cocktail bar in Siesta, and it hasn't changed one bit from old Siesta to new Siesta. I'm not about to abandon it over a few slow months. This isn't a short-term thing. City council people have been here a few times. The whole street could be demolished. Yet you fixed the sign of the folks next door, while you haven't bothered to fix ours. Even though it's been broken for days. Is the sign going to save the shop? Stop worrying about troubles that aren't even here yet. Life isn't nearly as bad as you think. Act your age for once. Leave the worrying to the old folks. I want to travel a little once the high season is over. Sure. Colombia, Victoria, or even further away just like him. See the world, expand your horizons. You're too young to be worrying about the little things. What I mean is, I could be gone for a while. What's this about? Oh, I had a little bump while moving some stuff. I thought it was nothing. Well, the summer is pretty dry this year. You should have more fruits and veggies. Need a recipe from me? I'm not a kid anymore. And don't make me have to worry about you. Look the part, if you want to be taking care of other people. Alright, Mom.
Thanks for the escort, Khan. I'm sure you have a lot of work to do. I'll be fine the rest of the way. Sorry, could you speak up a little? It's noisy out here and I couldn't quite hear you. Are you worried about me? Don't be. Everyday life isn't much trouble anymore.
I didn't think I would see you in Siesta. Are you okay? Your disease,
Well, the neuropathy getting worse can't be helped, but things are largely under control now. I have to wear a hearing aid and glasses, but I'm getting used to it. I've also gotten pretty good at lip reading.
It's just so unfair. A girl as young as you.
It's not about fair. I've seen plenty of infected at Rhode Island. Many are even younger than I am. Some are little kids who hardly know what's going on. None of them know when their lives will end. At least I have a clear goal, and I'm still strong enough to work towards it. I'm one of the lucky ones.
Has it really been so long since you went to Rhode Island? How time flies. I heard you're still surveying volcanoes in person, and even more frequently these days. It's dangerous, Adele.
I've talked to the physicians at Rhode Island. I know how much time I have left. But there's so much still to do. I can't let my parents' research end like this.
You don't have to be the one to do it. Not in your condition.
What else can I do, though? Can I? I miss them.
Poor girl. Do you not suffer enough shackles already?
What? I wouldn't call it shackles.
What's that you just said, Adele?
Huh?
Adele, I studied with Dr. Neumann for many years. She was my greatest mentor. She brought me out of that little backwater and took me down the path of science. She changed my life. I don't know where I would be without her. I could never repay her kindness.
Mutti always said you were her best student.
Khan pauses, as though to muster courage. I just can't accept the mysterious circumstances surrounding their deaths.
What do you mean?
The night breeze carries with it the sound of guitar. Street lamps begin to light up, forming a line that leads to the volcano at the center of the city. Mist rises from hot springs in the distance, laying a veil over the night sky. Adele rubs her eyes. You didn't see your parents the year before they died, did you?
They were always busy, practically living out of their lab at the university. I wasn't even allowed to visit them. Did something happen?
As a scientist, I know how inappropriate it is to operate of biased conjecture, and yet I can't help but suspect. My, another one with an obsession.
What?
I don't trust Keller, Adele. Be careful.
I don't understand. Why do humans talk so much about things they have never seen? Why do they pretend to have more wisdom than they possess?
I didn't quite hear what you said. Might be a problem with my hearing aid.
Sorry, I got excited. It's been a long time since I last saw you. It's late. You should get some rest. See you.
What was Khan going to say?
Girl! Hey, can you hear me?
Is someone calling me?
Hello?
And we do have 2 new enemies here to add. Or rather, enemies? Is enemies the right word here? Whatever. We have the Hot Spring Mischievous Rascal, a fluffy critter that has found something nice on the street and wants to play with whoever it bumps into. Even though you can't make out its expression from its obscure face, you can sense it in its revelry. The other one being the Fashion Street Hardy Heavy, a fluffy critter that has found something nice from the sports field. It'll be really happy if you throw its treasure back at it. Thankfully, it only throws frisbees and not discuses. And we continue on with the after part.
Who's there?
Me? I thought you would have gotten used to me by now, but then I remembered I haven't even spoken to you like this before. Or have I? I don't remember.
Now before I continue, I do want to point out that this thing has a very interestingly shaped crown on its head. Anyway, like a cloud drifting down from the night sky, a furry creature appears before Adele, spinning slowly in the air. It lands on a mailbox by the roadside, looking both graceful and comical.
Oh,
Hello. Good evening.
little black sheep?
You're calling me Little Black Sheep? Sure, I guess. Why the look of surprise? We've met. I mean, we have, haven't we?
Sorry, I didn't know you could talk.
We don't talk often. I mean, I'm the only one who can. The rest of us, well, maybe they don't like interacting with people. Or maybe they haven't learned to yet. Anyway, that's not important. I found you now, so I can just talk to you.
You know me?
I guess you could say I watched you grow up. Now, no, I don't peep at private lives. It's just, well, pure and simple companionship. Anyway, what I mean to say is, of course I know you. I don't know if it's a coincidence that I ran into you here, but it's an opportunity.
I'm sorry, I don't quite understand.
Of course, puny humans always have so many questions. Don't worry, I'll answer. Let's have a little chat. Do you have time for that? I'm not sure if girls your age need to be home by a certain time or not.
I'm not a kid anymore.
Good. Then you have time. Want to go for a walk?
Waterhole, hot springs, white smoke.
That's wrong. The smoke from the volcano is grey. Siesta isn't like this.
But that's not Siesta anymore. Siesta is where we are right now. Those big tall buildings all have white smoke.
This is Siesta, but that Siesta is Siesta too. I know. Let's call it Old Siesta.
This Siesta is the child of Old Siesta. Old Siesta is like Dad. It's far away from us right now, but it'll come back and it'll bring gifts for us.
What would you want?
Ennis!
Are you off work?
Shh, be quiet. Harley is sleeping.
Do you remember what I told you the last time, kids?
Don't go out at night. Don't go to the plates outside the nomadic city.
And don't draw on anything but drawing paper.
Now, who's a great artist who painted the portrait of Herman Shellbrain on the restaurant's back wall?
But all the grown-ups call him that.
Well, grown-ups aren't always right. That's why it means something for the three of us to go on adventures. We find treasures that they don't. But before that though, we're going to clean the wall tomorrow, right?
Right.
Then, for good kids who admit their mistakes, the young man extends a hand. 3 finely made clay dolls with lifelike expressions lying in his palm, just like the smiles in the family photo on the table. 1 for each member of our adventure team.
Where did you get this?
I made it. Like I said, I know magic. You don't like it?
Liberi, feline, pero. Why are all of them different?
I wish I got a D32 Steel Warrior instead.
Special gifts are for special days. Don't worry. All that you want is waiting in the future. Now, it's bedtime.
When can we go back to Old Siesta, Ennis?
Not yet. It gets really grumpy and breathes fire if you wake it up. Give it time, and maybe it'll be in a better mood. Then we can go and find it together.
I want to be an adventurer like Dad.
We're even better than that. We're an adventure team.
We're an adventure team. Ennis, you should take us to dig up those black rocks.
Listen, you promised not to tell anyone that I went to dig up black rocks. That's a secret, you know?
Will you take us to Old Siesta's beach park?
I don't know if there will be much left of it, but I can take you to another amusement park. There are water parks everywhere too. You've seen them in Dad's photos, haven't you?
Volcano and water park. It's a promise.
Yep, a promise between the members of the adventure team. He's a scammer, but he's a wholesome scammer. Goods from Colombian partners have been loaded onto Lithuanian side. And I have to survey the layout of the trade fair venue. It's getting rather late, young master. You should get some rest. You don't have to do everything yourself. I can't just sit around doing nothing. The residents aren't excited about our logistics hub. Maybe the international trade fair will change their attitude. As an independent city-state, Siesta has enormous potential in leveraging its position as a transportation hub. It's hard for one in the middle of all of this to understand one's place in changes like these. They have their minds full worrying about a new life in which they don't know what to expect. I know, I remember how I cried when we moved from Minos when I was little. Change is always scary. I want to make it easier on everyone. I understand you met with Miss Swire today. I did. We couldn't reach a consensus, but the conversation helped remind me. Messenger or merchant, the power to change lives comes with great responsibility. Are you sure this responsibility is yours to bear? Your father has high hopes for you, but he did not ask you to shoulder such responsibilities so early. I will never leave his shadow if I only do what he wants me to. The Siesta project is important to him. There has never been a better chance to realize the dream he had when he established MountainDash Logistics. MountainDash is based in Lungmen and bound by the rules of the Federation of Enterprises. He faces difficulty when it comes to the Siesta subsidiary. Your father told me he expects you to be ready to take over his work in 5 years, and that he has already started planning his retirement in Rimbilliton. Perhaps he should accelerate those plans. Now you're just teasing me. Still, it will be good for father to spend more time with mother. Thanks, butler. Don't worry about me. I want to get this done while I'm focused.
Enjoying yourself? I had tons of local food and tried the artificial hot springs here. I guess they have the same effects as real volcanic hot springs. It was so good. I didn't get to see the legendary Obsidian Festival, but had a great time taking in the passionate atmosphere. Very nice. Sounds like New Siesta has a lot of business potential. Say, did you feel like you were being watched out there? Watched? No need to get anxious. Just asking. I completely understand if that wasn't exactly at the top of your mind. Are you here in Siesta on a secret mission? Mission? What mission? Like I said, I'm here on vacation. I don't deal with the LGD often, but I've heard stories about you, why you joined the LGD and your family. I can imagine how hard the decision was for you. I shouldn't have talked to those reporters. It's always the same thing. Getting kidnapped by terrorists when you're little is not exactly something you boast about. I hear you've basically been in charge of the LGD ever since Superintendent Shen left 2 years ago. I don't exactly understand why you're here in Siesta now, representing your family as an investor. And the people who followed us today here were from Lungmen too, weren't they? Well, you've got me there. What do you think about Lungmen, Snowsand? Well, it's my home. I've seen how it changed from when I left Lungmen to study in Colombia and in the years since I returned. As an engineer, it makes me glad to see one skyscraper rise after another, firm and solid. Firm and solid, you say? Yes, a little too much so. It's hard for new life to get the sun and nutrients it needs when the skyscrapers block the light. Do you mean... Forget it. I'm just babbling. Don't let anyone... don't tell anyone what I just said to you.
It seemed a very long walk. The massive creature plods forward slowly, quietly. Adele follows behind it, rubbing her eyes from time to time. 1 step, 2 steps. Adele walks forward, stepping on her own shadow. The other passerby seem completely oblivious to the massive creature. Is this real? Or just a dream?
What are you looking at, girl?
Nothing. Aren't we going for a walk? To where exactly?
We're almost there. Look up.
That's a lot of sheep. That is adorable. Super adorable. One, two, three. A little creature stops and lifts its head in the light of the street lamps. Furry creatures leap and roll on the unfinished plate in the pale moonlight. 4, 5, 6. Little bits of wool drift in the air under the scattered lamplight. Almost like sparks falling in this summer night that no one knows about. 7, 8, 9. They leap across the container in orderly file, leaving marks on the metal with their hooves.
Are all these little black sheep? Mr. Big Black Sheep.
Oh, I haven't introduced myself yet, have I? I may be a lot older than you are, but you can call me by my name. It's Dolly.
Mr. Dolly? People in fairy tales always see strange things when they're about to die.
Really? Oh, tasteless. That's the kind of stories parents tell their kids these days. Don't worry, girl, it's not your time yet. How have you been? Maybe not the best question. I can see you're not too well. Not in terms of health, at least. But there is nothing that can be done about it. I'm sorry.
Mutti said that the little sheep around me are a gift from her. Did she ask you to stay by my side? Did you know my parents?
It's a little hard to explain just who these little guys are. Let's call them my clones. They all have some special link to this world, and they have different personalities. The fact that they are willing to stay by your side means you're a likable girl. As for your parents, of course I knew them. I remember that young couple from Lithuanian who wanted to conquer all the volcanoes across the globe. I have to say that for humans, trying to achieve something regarding everything in the world is a fool's errand. But it's different when it comes to volcanoes. It's a classy dream. Stubborn, but smart, with a real eye for beauty, especially your mother. I haven't met many people wiser than her.
Were you by their side when... at the end?
No, that's a topic not to be spoken of lightly. It was very much a surprise. No one knew the volcano would erupt there and then, but could puny humans really come to know everything about the globe?
Do you feel any sadness about it?
Thank goodness you aren't asking me why I didn't save them. I love volcanoes, of course. Surfing on molten lava is the second best thing on the planet. But volcanoes took the lives of 2 of my friends. It's the 11th worst thing to happen in recent years. We all want to prevent bad things from happening, but I'm not as omnipotent as I look. There are many things I can't do. If you're really sad though, you can rub yourself against my wool. That often helps when you're feeling down.
Thank you.
Anyway, the past isn't truly over. They're always by your side, in one way or another.
Human and beast sit by the seashore, feeling the caress of the warm sea breeze and listening to the soft clashing of the waves. The furry pack of beasts quietly play their game, leaping back and forth on the containers and scaffolds, humming contentedly from time to time. One little beast tries to climb the container, following the herd in front, but fails repeatedly.
Sorry, it's been so long since I've sat down for a chat with a human. My vocabulary is limited, so I'll dispense with the formalities. Better than ask questions that have obvious answers, what I want to ask is, are you happy, little one?
I'm trying to finish my parents' research. It's hard work, but it feels meaningful.
So, you're not happy. We met in Siesta as fate would have it. Let's make a deal. Wait, is that the right word in your language, deal? Maybe I should use a more friendlier word. Let's say game. Anyway, I want you to find a few things for me that are lost in Siesta. Consider it a treasure hunt.
What is it that you lost?
Let me think. The north wind, seed, and fur.
What do you mean by those?
Where's the fun in a game if you know the solution beforehand? Don't be too eager to seek an answer. Feel it out. It'll be worth your while, I promise. I'll have something for you when you find all three. How about that which you have been seeking?
What I've been seeking?
I just can't accept the mysterious circumstances surrounding their deaths.
North wind, seed, fur. Good hunting!
Alright then, and we shall now proceed into the full file and voice file for the original Aya and round up today's first part. So then, let's head on over. And here we are at Eyjafjalla's originals, full file and voice file. So before we begin, very quickly, a brief reminder that this file and this operator were released here on Global all the way back in May of 2020. So everything written in here and the operator itself has been with us, at least for us that have been playing the game for, you know, the past 4 years. For, well, almost 4 years at this point. So she is a pretty old operator, of course. But I just want to say this at the beginning here because obviously the entire file has been written all the way back then, even before that, considering that she obviously released way earlier in the Chinese client. So keep that in mind as we go forward. Also, one final thing, keep this file in mind when we or rather in the final episode of this narration, we'll be going over the full file and voice files as well for the new now version, Eyjafjalla's Altar. That will be quite the stark difference. So then, let us begin. Basic info: codename Eyjafjalla, gender female, combat experience none, place of birth Lithuanian, date of birth October 18th, race Caprine, height 145 centimeters, infection status showed physical signs of originium, infection confirmed by medical report. Physical exam: physical strength normal, mobility normal, physical resilience normal, tactical acumen normal, combat skill normal, and originium arts assimilation outstanding. Profile: Eyjafjalla, volcanologist, catastrophe messenger. She is exceptionally talented in the use of advanced originium techniques and high energy arts. Currently undergoing treatment at Rhode Island, Eyjafjalla provides support in catastrophe research, environmental observation assessment, assistance in traversing dangerous terrain, among others. Clinical analysis. Imaging tests for this operator showed blurry outlines of internal organs with visible dark spots. Unusually high concentrations of originium particles were present in her circulatory system, indicating infection and confirming her as infected at this stage. Cell originium assimilation 8%. Eyjafjalla showed conspicuous symptoms of infection, with corresponding deafness. Blood originium crystal density 0.5 units per liter. The level of Eyjafjalla's internal crystals are comparatively high. And yes, as a quick overview, that is a very high ratio in her blood, considering that most people who are not infected will have something around 0.1 units, pretty much just being around originium every day, having trace amounts in their blood, while people who are infected have somewhere usually around 0.2 to 0.3. This is a very high ratio. Moving on. Archive File Number 1. When Eyjafjalla showed up at Rhode Island for the first time, the personnel leading her to Human Resources noticed some odd behaviors right off the bat. She couldn't make out what people were saying and would sometimes run into things. People assumed she was some operator's visiting little sister or an intern sent by the pharmaceutical department. A few days later, they were shocked to receive a notice from the executives approving the infected Eyjafjalla for missions and the research of arts and catastrophes as an official Rhode Island operator. It turns out the little girl they overlooked was a legend among the most renowned academies in Lithuanian, fueling speculation about her level of education. The optimists believed having a young person in the arts department would bring some much-needed energy to their somber daily grind. They debated in low but excited voices over who would mentor her internship. The pessimists lamented that as an infected, no one could predict where Eyjafjalla might end up in the future. Archive File Number 2. According to forms filled out by Eyjafjalla, she was born to a prominent academic family in Lithuanian. Her parents worked at William University. Her father a graduate professor for the School of Originium, her mother an environmental and ecological research specialist. The couple died in a volcanic eruption during a survey. Eyjafjalla's parents had begun a project to study natural catastrophes on Terra, and the volcano was a key site. Among the files Eyjafjalla took with her to Rhode Island, she treasured the report on that volcano most of all. She didn't want the study to end with the passing of her parents, so she decided to continue it in their stead. Volcanic research must be done on site before eruption and required long-term close-range observation. Particles with originium components tended to be common in volcanic areas, and cooling lava constantly turned over new originium veins, making the region a breeding ground for ripothy. This is believed to be the reason for Eyjafjalla's infection. Archive File Number 3. Eyjafjalla's physical symptoms are very obvious. Ripothy has impaired her hearing considerably, sometimes robbing her of the sense entirely. Fortunately, the impairment has slowed given treatment at Rhode Island. Eyjafjalla typically uses a hearing aid, or asks her conversants to repeat loudly themselves in order to communicate. In addition, certain facial expressions and body language have also proven effective. For example, shaking one's head, unsuccessful dialogue. Shaking one's head with a surprised expression. Very likely some words have been misunderstood and should be clarified immediately. Nodding, successful dialogue. Nodding with a positive expression. Idea successfully communicated. Proceed with dialogue. Still, one must be mindful of the context, since the present dialogue might be built on the pretext of a previously unnoticed misunderstanding. Repeating a word or sentence multiple times. Eyjafjalla is confirming what's been communicated to her. Respond positively and mind one's volume. Glassy-eyed or negative expression. Misunderstanding has possibly occurred. Review previous dialogue to avoid greater misunderstanding. Archive File Number 4. Classified. I've perused Eyjafjalla's files and a draft of her thesis. The impact of underground originium veins on volcanic cycles, and investigative report on the correlation between originium and natural catastrophes. Plus a few other analyses are very well done and reasoned. Also very dangerous. I hope everyone realizes she's asking dangerous questions in dangerous areas, and not just academic ones. You do know ants, right? Then you should know ants love carrion. Even though the carrion is still rotting, the ants will still rip it to tiny chunks and carry them back to their nest to feed the whole community. Ants must grow stronger to survive in the world. Do you get it? If the carrion is originium, we are feeding our community with it for everyone to grow stronger. And the purpose of that is to defend ourselves, and maybe oppose potential changes in the future. Yes, according to Eyjafjalla's thesis, originium is a natural catastrophe, but we cannot stop it, and will not stop. Let the child continue her research for now, before she can be certain of her own future. This was an excerpt from a closed-door conference spoken by Redacted. Promotional record. Eyjafjalla's pets serve a similar role as Operator Mouse's kitties. Eyjafjalla's dark woolen companions appear identical to normal animals in psychology and behavior. Eyjafjalla calls them little black sheep, claiming they were a gift from her mother when she was still alive. Unlike the naughty kitties, the little black sheep are submissive and sluggish. Their idea of fun is to nap in Eyjafjalla's room or someplace spacious at Rhode Island. They help Eyjafjalla with many things, like move books and deliver goods. They even make good fluffy pillows for her to lay her head on. Classified log. This is not entirely confidential information, but something I believe is noteworthy. Although Eyjafjalla dubbed them little, they are still big pets. Given their size, it is odd that they're hardly spotted in Rhode Island. On retrospect, it is suspicious that they only showed up to graze or when Eyjafjalla needed them. Another unusual phenomenon is when they give off high heat when angry or excited, possibly burning your hand when touched. The truth behind all this is worth investigating. Alright, and that is the entire file. Pretty short for a 6-star, but then again, this is one of the early 6-stars, so they are kinda short. So then, we are now going to proceed into the voice files, all of them spoken in English, considering she has a English VA, so you can lean back and listen to that. And I will see you for the outro.
Professor, I finished all my catastrophe study notes. Do you have more I could read? Huh? What? Why do I call you Professor? Well, you're an expert on catastrophe studies. So you're like a professor, right? Aren't we all supposed to address our superiors with respect? Pardon me? Please say that again? Oh, you're wondering why I'm hard of hearing. Well, I got infected with erypathy back when I was doing research near a volcano. Besides completing the tasks you give me, I have to go to Dr. Calcit's regularly for checkups. The doctor said my symptoms are pretty serious. I have to work hard to finish the research my parents began. I want to prove that their work was meaningful, and that it could maybe even change the world. My parents? They've passed on. A pyroclastic flow hit them when they were conducting studies near a volcano. I have to pick up where they left off and finish their research no matter what. My playmates? I'm pretty friendly with Mouse and some others, so I don't feel lonely at all. If possible, I'd love to start a book club with them too. Could we hold our club meetings in your office, Professor? Dr. Calcit told me. I'm not only losing my sense of hearing, but my sense of sight too. Well, what else might this disease do to me? How could I tell you were behind me? Because I could feel your warmth. My eyesight and hearing aren't as sharp as they once were. But my other senses are still the same. Can't bring me down this easily, you know? Professor? Oh, you're asleep. I'm Eyjafjalla. My career before joining Rhodes Island was in the field of volcanology. I'm a bit hard of hearing due to my erypathy. I just hope I won't be a burden to you, Professor. Please teach me all you can, Professor. Promotion? Really? I'm so happy to have your approval, Professor. My mother gave me these little lambs. They're cute, aren't they? Huh? They're scorching hot. Be careful. You have to put on oven mittens before touching them. Understood, Professor. Don't forget to prepare emergency supplies as well as weapons. We can take care of ourselves, Professor. You just focus on giving orders. Stay safe, everyone. Professor? Please give your orders, Professor. I'll be careful. All the best. Temperature stable. This may be a little hot. Watch out for fires. How's that? I'm so glad you're safe, Professor. Why must our world be enveloped in strife? Is everyone okay? Anything I can do? Yeah, it's okay. I'm fine. This room makes me feel safe. You startled me, Professor. Thank you, Professor, for helping me become a stronger person. Arknights. Good morning, Professor.
Alright then, and that would be it for today's first part. Quite lengthy, but we had a couple of things to add here in part 1. Part 2 will probably mostly focus on story. I will see, however, how long part 2 is gonna be, because if there is enough room to make maybe this into a 4-parter series on the channel, I would love to include the original Swire and Swire authors files and voice files as well in the coming parts, considering these two are the technically main protagonists of this story, or central protagonists rather of this story, so it would be nice to have both of them here in this whole thing. But that's for the future. For now, thank you very much for listening. If you liked this video, please consider leaving a like on it, it would help me out quite a lot, and share the video with others of course as well, who enjoy this type of content. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. There is a lot, as you can probably already see and tell just from the description in the video and all the links that are plastered in there. So yeah, enjoy. And if you want to support me and my work more directly, there are memberships for the channel as well available. And as I always say, there will be no video that will be barred behind a membership. It's purely there just to more directly and more consistently support the channel and my work. So, with that said, thank you very much. If you're pulling still on Aya's banner, good luck. And yeah, hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are. And I will see you in the next one. Until then, bye bye.